Good evening. We're going into some issues. Tonight there was a resolution on number 1086. And what it is Kenilworth is entering into a shared service agreement for emergency medical call with the county for their dispatch center, which is down at the Froelich Building in Westfield. In the agenda setting meeting, Freeholder Marabella, my buddy, actually, and whenever it comes up, he's always crowing about this dispatch center. And he went on and he asked Andrew Moran, the director of the Department of Public Safety, how many towns do we have signed on now? Because it sounds good, I guess. And Moran mentioned it. He said there's 9 Union County towns signed on. There's also one other county and a hospital. So, it's like it sounds so successful. However, then you start looking into it. And I got up and spoke, and I don't know if John's going to put up the video or not, but what it boils down to is 11, number 1086, the Borough of Kenilworth to provide 911 emergency medical services. You're touting, you're all proud that 9 towns have joined. However, if you look at it, all they just joined is basically first aid and fire. One town joined with the police, and that's the major revenue that you were counting on. I'd like to know the revenues per year that you're actually getting from all of this with these towns. It looks like it's around $150,000, $180,000 a year. You spend approximately $5 million on this, and it sure looks like you're not getting a return.
Was, I believe, about dispatch. It does not include just dispatch. It's also all of the drivers. It is the road operation, the dispatch. Actually, Director Moran and I had some brief conversation about the ability to do that, but it is so specialized that it is not able to be done at this time. It's basically road service. It's on call, as I said, it's not just dispatch. It is actually all of the drivers and all of the and some of the maintenance costs are borne by this contract.
Thank you.
It's down to is this dispatch center and adding in all the monies they just spent recently to recorrect the problems from I think it was Hurricane Sandy affected it. But anyway, they spent close to $5 million for this dispatch center. It's a good idea to a point, but just to continue on, what they're offering is dispatch for police services to the towns, for first aid services to the towns, and the fire department services to the town. And there's costs that they offer the town, like around $6,000, $7,000 for the first aid squad and for the fire department. And the police they charge a lot more money, and that's supposed to be a revenue generator. And I would assume the revenues are supposed to offset the $5 million that they spend on the dispatch center. However, in looking at it, it turns out only Famwood is the one that signed on for police dispatch. And I think the contract may be coming up. That was about 3 years ago, and they touted there was such savings. But then it turns out without police dispatch, if a resident is having a problem and they go down to the police station, they actually have to pick up the phone there because there's nobody there at night. And then they can talk to the county building in Westfield. So if you're in Famwood, it's Westfield taking care of you. And there's only one town that did it. The other towns, yes, they looked into it, and the costs that were offered by the county was too exorbitant for the sacrifice of the services. The reason why I know this, by the way, is Garwood looked into it recently, and the police chief said no, not to bring him in, but he turned it down, saying no, it's insufficient for what they'd be saving. So what it boils down to is all the towns that he's talking about are just for first aid and for fire service, and it's around $6,000 to $10,000 per town. Maybe the total revenue generating that it's putting up is about $150,000. So the $150,000 a year revenue coming in to pay off the $5 million in debt they took on to build this dispatch center will take probably 20 years to pay it back. If you just do straight math, maybe 30 years. So it's basically another boondoggle waste of money that they did. Good idea, but these people running it, obviously, nobody wants to touch them, especially for the police. So it's sad. It's just another loss to the taxpayers. Thank you. No control.
The dispatch is in essence a good thing. Centralization in one system, I think, is a good thing. But when you give it to the county, you lose all control over it. There's no districting. You have not a voice in how the money's going to be spent, how it's going to be administered. So you're losing control over your taxpayer dollars. So in essence, it's not a good thing for the individual town.
It's one of the reasons for districting.
It's absolutely one of the reasons for districting.